Hi, Scott Orlin with CINEMA-Magazin. I bring you an incredibly talented actor with not one but two projects to talk about. Rachel McAdams, first True Detective, and then the film Southpaw. Let's start with True Detective. Every actor kind of has in their skill set, or at least in their oeuvre, so to speak, at some point to play different types of professions. You know, and a police officer for most guys. For a woman, though, we rarely get to see that perspective. What did you learn about the profession, and do you think you would make a good detective?
That's a good question. I spent a fair amount of time with some police officers, particularly from the region where my character is from, and went on a ride-along there, which was very enlightening. I realized that everyone's lying all the time. Everyone's lying to a police officer, even if they're not guilty. So I guess I sort of could understand a little bit better some of the cynicism that maybe is attached to some of these characters. Yeah, I think I'd make a horrible cop.
I think you'd be terrific. If I had to be frisked by somebody, I want it to be by Rachel McAdams. For those people who are familiar, last season, there was another version of True Detective. This is totally redone. It's just kind of taking the name and the concept.
Right.
What is it about, you started in television. What makes this such an interesting medium for this incredibly talented group of actors to come back and do this arc?
Well, I mean, what I missed about television is just how much time you get to put into your character and how well you get to know them and the audience gets to know them. You know, you get this extensive arc, and you know, I felt like I knew what she'd have for breakfast by the end. And you know, with films, it's sort of like you blink and it's over. Whereas you know, this was a good solid 6 months with this woman, and I miss her. I'm sad that there's not going to be another season of it. So,
but it's an interesting mystery too, because every one of these characters is a little flawed, is more complex than we're used to.
Sure.
And we'd all when we start to watch it, like, well, who are these people?
Right. Yeah, and it's just as much about the plot, you know, development as it is character development, which I think is rare. And you know, they're all they're sort of a band of outsiders. They're all misfits in their own right, and they don't quite fit into the neat little package, which makes for, you know, I think, good drama. So. Well,
speaking of good drama, now let's switch mediums for a second. In this film, Southpaw, I was blown away. I mean, I don't want to give too much away because there's a lot of intricacies and things going on. How familiar were you with the boxing world? Because when you see this movie, you're sitting right up close. That blood and spit is kind of right around you.
I need a bib. Yeah. It was. I wasn't familiar with the boxing world at all when I first came onto the project, and then I spent time boxing, learning to box, because I assumed that, you know, she's been with her husband as a boxer for 22 years, and you know, she would probably know all the ins and outs of boxing, and you know, it's her job to keep him safe, really. So I kind of got a quick education on that, and got to spend time with Jake's coach. Terry Claiborne, who's amazing, who did Cinderella Man, has done many other films, and so it was a crash course in boxing, and I love it. I still do it now.
Wow. Well, what I thought was just fascinating about the subject matter, and we've seen all these myriad of boxing films, it's the first time that I actually saw the emotional destruction of a boxer, and the physical of what happens.
Right.
You know, about that.
Right. I know, and it was important to Antoine to get right up inside of it. Like, even just the way he shot the fight scenes themselves, he wanted to always be inside the ropes, never outside the ropes. You know, so it really is up close and personal, and it's digging, and you know, he's trying to go to the heart of it at all times, and the sacrifice, and you know, the uglier side of it as well. He doesn't shy away from that.
Well, thank you for not shying away from this interview. Notice how I tied all that together.
Great.
Rachel, I can't thank you again, as always. Pleasure. Two wonderful projects. This is Scott Orlin. Until next time.